All right, let me see if I can get that. Oh, hey, forget the days of cramming for tests and struggling to follow hour-long lectures. Microlearning is revolutionizing the way students learn in public schools. Hey, and it's about time. This innovative approach breaks down complex concepts into bite-sized, engaging chunks, making learning accessible, fun, and effective for all. Hey, that's what we're talking about today on this episode of the EduTech Guys.
You're listening to the EduTech Guys, edutechguys.com. Hello and welcome to this episode of EduTech Guys. I'm David Henderson.
Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
Yeah, hey, thanks so much for tuning in, turning on, downloading, grabbing the episode, whatever it takes to get it into your ear holes.
Your ear holes.
We appreciate it.
Hey, grab that nearby keyboard and go out to the web and look us up, www.edutechguys.com, or heck, just go to Google, type in EduTech Guys, and you're going to find us right there, peering back at you through a dark room with the eyes of a cat.
Wow.
It's 2024. Welcome to the first episode of the new year. We made a resolution, and that one is to learn how to spell resolution.
1080p.
1080p.
I want to be 4K, but I'm not that bright.
Yeah. I'm not that at all. Yeah. I got a lot of shadows.
That's right.
I pixelate too easy.
I pixelate.
Hey, listen, thanks for joining us. It's going to be a fun year this year. Lots going on. We resolve that we will drop out some more episodes this year. So, you'll hear more from us and more handy-dandy stuff.
Yes, we plan to and will fulfill this plan. We will reach our goal to kick out more episodes than we have in the years past.
So there will be 12 episodes this year.
That's right. And we used to kick out like 52 episodes a year, and then
we are sorry.
Well, really, the pandemic hit, and then we just kind of dropped off the face of the earth, and then we're just like, hey, you want to do one? Sure. So we have made a resolution that we are going to be a little more consistent with our posting.
We will, and we'll be at a lot more conferences. In fact, we've got one coming up at the end of the month, the FETC in Orlando. We will be there, or we will be square. No, but we'll actually be there.
I'm going to be there, and I'll be round.
It's a new me. I got a new tapeworm. I am right on track. So everything for me is great. I'll be the one with the walker. Anyway, it's going to be a really great show. We were looking. We always try to keep our finger on the pulse of public education. Yeah, that's a terrible heart sound. That's terrible.
That's not even what
I thought it was going to be much deeper, but it didn't really come off that way. Anyway, hey, we've been talking about this, and I had written to David over the break and said, hey, got an idea for a show about little wins. We all have these massive goals we try to achieve, and then we forget all the small wins that it takes to get to those goals, and we don't really celebrate ourselves or think about the little things that we actually do every day, the little wins. Getting this graded in time, or this code fixed, or the server didn't crash and lose everyone's email.
Yeah, exactly.
Things along that line. But in doing that, David and I were doing a little research, and we started hearing a lot about microlearning. And I guess it's now been given a name. So, it is something that it does exist out there. And, there's a lot of cool things you can imagine on having, on gaining with this. There's a lot of things that, don't you agree that, imagine you can get get rid of textbooks even, I guess, that kind of thing.
Sure. I mean, there's all kinds of different approaches in terms of what microlearning can do. I think it's, I'm going to back up just a little bit.
Okay.
Several years ago, one of the big terms going around was micro-credentialing, which essentially, for those, if you're not familiar with that term, and it's still around, we just don't seem to hear it quite as much, but with micro-credentialing and digital badging, where you learn something and you demonstrate a sliver of an overall concept. And so, therefore, you get that micro. That's where the sliver, that piece of. So you get a certification, you get credentialed in that little piece of something. And I don't know if this is kind of born out of that, or perhaps this is kind of what leads to micro-credentialing, but is this concept of micro-learning. Now, in schools, we're talking, a little bit different. Like you had mentioned, we're talking about, possibly getting rid of, big old thick textbooks, which a lot of schools kind of started doing that, especially when the pandemic hit.
Yeah, you're right.
But, and then a lot of schools have also been shifting, or at least experimenting with getting rid of, these rock solid, rigid schedules.
Yeah. Well, and think about it. This actually gives us this. If you had a classroom full, and you're doing micro learning in a classroom, there's no more of that one size fits all learning kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now it's like it can cater to diverse learning styles. And they can pick the way that works best for them, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. And especially supporting that, through the stuff that teachers are already doing, short interactive quizzes, small videos, virtual simulations, things like that. Kids they can handle that like we all can. They can microdose that microlearning a little easier, So I think that's really cool. And I think the benefits of this are going to be huge. The first one to me would just be boosted engagement. Doesn't that keep kids hooked on, a different format like this? Okay, wait, I'm just doing this in little pieces, and so I don't have to do it all at once. But, and I guess at the end of it would be, I did these 7 or 8 different small pieces, and at the end I had accomplished this one big goal.
Right.
Like
well, and I think that when you're talking about micro learning, one of the things that at least pops into my head, and hopefully as you're listening to this out there, these are the things that you start to think about as well, and maybe you've already thought about. But in terms of keeping those kids engaged, a lot of times with micro learning, they're much more interactive, bite-sized pieces.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, it's not just sit and get. These are interactive, learning opportunities that are, these just small tidbits at a time. Like the old expression, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time.
Oh, that's exactly how I eat brownie bites. But
See, that's not good. That's not a good example, because I generally try to jam them into my throat.
See, I've learned to sit on the couch and just make that entire bag last that entire Netflix series,
the whole series.
Yeah,
when you binge all 10 seasons.
She's like, "Did you eat that whole bag?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I've watched 4 episodes in a row. It took me 4 episodes to eat this entire bag of brownie bites. I don't know what your problem is."
That's right. And similar to that, where that makes it a little easier to digest.
And here's another benefit of improved retention, because guess what?
That's right.
When I get up, I'm a little fluffier than I was when I sat down.
You've been retaining.
Yeah, but let's get back on topic. Sorry. Truth though, we all do retain better with small chunks of information.
But yeah,
I do, and I agree. Little small chunks I grasp. Especially if I get those chunks, I practice those chunks, and then I implement those chunks. And then I put them all together and go, "Oh, this is how this all works." Yay!
Well, and with micro learning, the students can master that one skill, or practice that one skill over and over until they master it, and then that becomes part of their long-term learning.
Yeah.
I think of that whenever I'm trying something new, or I'm trying to figure something out. If I can learn, if I get steps 1, 2, and 3, and then something messes up, or I redo steps 1, 2, and 3, and I go over 1, 2, and 3. Well, before long, I've got 1, 2, and 3 memorized. I'm good with 1, 2, and 3. Let's move to the next ones.
Yeah.
And that becomes a part of, okay, this is where I am. This is what I know.
Sure.
And I think it's very interesting how this can tie into all kinds of things. We're talking about going to the conference, right? We're going to be at FETC at the end of the month, and we've done hundreds of conference interviews, and every single one of them. It's so funny. We didn't have the term micro learning, but one of the things you and I have talked about with, people that we present to and our bosses, and that is exactly what we're getting. We're getting these tiny lessons, these bite-sized lessons from every person that we talk to.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you can do with your students.
Yeah. Well, and microlearning, like I said, I think we're just giving a name to what we're already doing. Because, other benefits include, like personalized learning and accessibility for all. I mean, this is exactly because you go, oh, well, how do we have to do? Is this a new implementation? How do we make this happen in public schools? Well, you're already doing it. I mean, tech integration wise, well, we've already got tablets and laptops. We've already got interactive learning platforms. Our teachers already know how to harness, Khan Academy and YouTube and so on and so on and so on. So there's that. And I don't think there's much teacher training in it except for, your instructional facilitators, your curriculum folks go, hey, let's talk about creating these smaller, lesson plans for microlearning. And it's a new way to look at it. But to me, that'd be kind of exciting. To me, making those kind of changes gets kind of excited for all those of us that have been doing the same thing for so many years.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think to me, that's really one of the most crucial pieces to this whole thing is that if your district is going to start experimenting, or if you in your singular classroom are going to start experimenting with microlearning as a form of instruction for your students, you've got to, you yourself have got to understand and learn, what does that mean? How do I take the lesson that I'm used to doing, the unit that I'm used to doing, or even the section of the unit where it's generally one big chunk? How do I turn that into interactive micro learning to keep it engaging for my students, to help them learn a little better, but also stay on task, stay on track for, that's one thing about school, we've only got X amount of days that we have for instruction. So how do I take this 180 day, 190 day year and break it into not just these unit chunks that I'm accustomed to, but then even smaller bites, but still stay on task. And that comes with PD. That comes with learning how to do it.
Yeah, you're right. That 190 becomes 380 in the same time span that it existed. But there's the interesting part. Bringing it into the public school. I mean, we already have the content. Yes, you might be saying, guys, you're talking about what we've been doing since the pandemic. Well, yeah, but now we're talking about doing it in smaller bites. We're not looking at it as we do these things now. They go online, they do these things online. They do these small quizzes, they do these things here, and we're doing this to gather information and data. But we're not making this, you started and you finished and you achieved this goal, this micro goal in this short amount of time. And, that's almost gamifying it in a sense, sure. Like I'm going to get these little, so there's the interesting thing. I mean, this is all about just a restructuring of what we're doing and compressing it down. It's almost like what happened years ago with the block scheduling. Some people still use, the 4-period day and things like that. Well, we had to go, so we're going to teach chemistry, a year-long worth of chemistry in one semester. Yes, because you're going to be in the class 2 hours a day. Okay, well, let's flip that and let's go the other way, So now we're going to get all this same stuff done, but you're going to get 8 lessons done in a day that you used to do only 1. Now, that's a dreamy scenario, but I'm also the guy that always gets like 5 scoops of ice cream.
Well,
and I know I can't eat them. So,
and the kicker is, looking at it from that direction, you're still getting the one overarching goal completed for that particular class, right? But you're breaking it into bite-sized chunks that the students can digest a little easier, have more interaction, work collaboratively. I think that's one of the big keys with any of this is, as educators, we collaborate with each other to figure out how we get these bite-sized chunks to function in our classrooms, but also as the students working together, collaborating. As we continue the food motif for whatever reason in this episode, they're all sharing in this meal.
Right. Well, it is a nugget.
A nugget.
Well, what's interesting about this is because, thinking about it, is it a game changer? In kind of a concept that could be, and here's why. If you look at the world we're in today, and we've been in this world for a long time, you get out into the real world of working. And whatever job you're in, I'm on a construction site, and they go, hey, listen, we got this new rivet gun. Hey, figure out how it works and how we can use it and how it's going to make this job go faster. Well, guess what? That's micro-learning. That's, okay, I've got this little nugget I've got to learn really quick, and I've got to master this really quick. So getting our kids learning to do, micro learning just preps them for the real world of, hey, we got a new client. They need this. I need it on my desk by tomorrow. We've been doing that forever.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know anything about, rubber boots. So I guess I better find out everything I can about rubber boots. And, it's like we do every episode. I know nothing about micro learning. I better learn something. We're kidding. Shh. We're kidding. They'll never know.
Oh, they're going to know.
But really, I mean, it's not just a trend. I don't think this is going to be a trend because it has a title. We've been doing it anyway. So now it has a name. And now that you can specify what you're doing, and I wish my my understanding of history was a little better. So we could say, this is how this started. We used to do this. And then we actually realized what we were doing. We gave it a name, and we started working in that direction of achieving what name we gave it as, something that we do. And so micro learning is just now saying, oh, this is what these teachers, these educators across the nation have been doing anyway. Let's give it a name. Let's organize it. And let's help them, even put it into these eggs used to roll around in a basket, but now they're in a carton and they're lined up.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of,
And let's not be so
now I'm hungry for an omelet, but anyway.
There you go. Let's not be so naive that, now that it does have a name, we can all rest assured that there will be companies and organizations who are going to be willing to sell you all kinds of stuff that go with micro learning. So bonus.
And I've got to start writing down micro learning and all the words that can come after it, so I can get the acronyms together.
There you go. That's
micro learning teaching. You mean the MLT?
The MLT.
Yeah, micro learning.
Nice
MLL.
Mutton, lettuce, and tomato when the mutton is nice and lean.
To blade. Hey, listen. Like we're saying, hey, micro-learning, we think it is something to definitely look into and definitely to discuss and think in your brain about how you can make that happen. I can't see micro-learning falls into every category of teaching as far as I'm concerned. You break it all up, getting it into small nuggets that can be processed really quickly with an overreaching goal of achieving this state standard so you can be tested on it. So
yeah, there is that too.
There is that. Hey, can we have that kind of micro-learning test? That's I like the MLT, please. There's a lot of MLTs out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Mutton, lettuce, and tomatoes. That's great. Oh, you're talking about mutton, lettuce? No, we're talking about micro-learning. David and I are big fans of Princess Bride.
I don't know what's happening. Hey, listen, I'm David Henderson.
I'm Inigo Montoya. And catch us next time on the EduTechGuys.
You've been listening to the EduTech Guys, edutechguys.com.